Today's fairy tale is a French story about fairies causing humans horrible trauma, but it all works out in the end. This is Rosanella. It opens by telling us that while fairies live hundreds of years, they do sometimes die, usually because they have to take animal forms every once in a while, and accidents are prone to happen when they're in animal form. We aren't given the specifics, but the queen of the fairies dies this way. So all the fairies hold an election to figure out who's going to be the new queen, and it comes down to two fairies. One is called Serpentine, the other is Peridome, and it's decided that whichever of them can produce the greatest wonder will win. So they make some interesting choices. Serpentine says, I'm going to bring up a prince whom nothing can make constant. Basically meaning he's going to be a player. And Peridome's going to bring up a princess who's going to be so beautiful that anyone who sees her falls desperately in love with only her. Peridome, who is our main protagonist fairy, is friends with a king and queen who have a beautiful infant daughter named Rosanella. She's named that because she had a little pink rose imprinted upon her white throat. One day her mom has this terrible dream that an eagle comes into her room and snatches a bunch of roses out of her hands. And guess what? When she wakes up, her baby's gone. They can't find her anywhere. The queen cannot stop grieving, so the husband, who is sad too, but not as sad, says, let's go to one of our country palaces to keep our mind off it. So one beautiful night in the country, the queen's out walking and there are 12 avenues of trees, and suddenly she sees a peasant girl walking along each of the 12 avenues, so 12 peasant girls, each carrying a basket. All 12 of them lay the baskets at her feet and they say, charming queen, consider these some consolation for your unhappiness. And it's 12 babies. They're all little girls. They're all the exact age of her daughter who went missing. And at first, obviously, this traumatizes her again, but then she starts raising them and it gets distracted by taking care of these 12 infants. And by taking care of them, it's hiring people to take care of them, getting them nursery maids, cradle rockers, and ladies in waitings, and buying them dolls and stuff, because she's a queen. And they all have that same birthmark on their throat that her daughter had, but somehow 12 babies is just too many for her to name. First, she just gives them color and flower names, but then as they grow older and start to have personalities, she gives them names having to do with their personalities, like sweet, beautiful, and gay. One of them's named Gay. They grow up into beautiful young women, and soon everyone wants to marry them, but they don't want to marry anybody. Then the story takes us back to Serpentine and the prince. She has made him grow up so incredibly beautiful and charming. Whether he's being serious or frivolous, whether he is simply attired or ornamentally attired, he is just irresistible. He's a desperate flirt, fickle as the wind, and by his 18th birthday, there's no heart he has not broken. He's literally gone through every woman and nothing excites him anymore. So he goes to visit the court of his father's cousin, which is the court of our queen and her 12 daughters. Our prince immediately falls in love with all 12 of them equally. He wants to be with all of them all the time. It said, for could he not whisper soft speeches to sweet and laugh with joy while looking at beauty? In his more serious moments, what was pleasanter than to talk with grave upon some shady lawn? I think it would be cool to be grave. So he's equally attached to all of them, and he finds they all like him back equally. And Serpentine is like, yeah, he is being fickle like I decided to make him, but Peridome is like, I got a secret though. Then it gets really wild. One day there's a garden party and a bunch of bees show up, grow into huge size, and pick up all 12 of the princesses and carry them away. The prince falls into such grief, he gets sick, he's like, I'm gonna die. This is bad for Serpentine, who has raised him to be fickle and not fall in love like that. And so she keeps trying to get him interested in other women and he won't hear of it. Well, then an entourage of fairies shows up and Peridome is among them on a big chariot, and beside her is this one beautiful princess. They land in front of the court and Peridome says, Queen, this is your daughter Rosanella. I stole her from your cradle and now I'm giving her back to you. At first the queen is joyous and probably a little mad, but then she's like, but what about my 12 dear ones that I ended up raising? Am I never gonna see them again? Peridome's like, don't ask any more questions, you'll see, and she disappears. Prince approaches Rosanella and he falls absolutely in love with her and realizes she has all of the 12 qualities that he was in love with the 12 girls. The narrator says, after all, it really is more satisfactory to make love to one person at a time. He asks Rosanella to marry him, and as soon as that happens, Peridome runs back in and she's like, yes, I won the bet. After stealing Rosanella from her cradle, she divided her into 12 parts, so those 12 girls were all Rosanella. Her plan being that the 12 of them would charm him, and then once they were combined, it would make him constant forever. Everyone agrees she wins. She produced a wonder by causing this trauma in these human lives. Serpentine even sends a wedding gift and is there for the wedding. The prince is constant for the rest of his life, and Princess Rosanella loved him as all the 12 beauties put together, because because that's who she is. They reigned in peace and happiness forever. And no more giant bees. As always, check out my book, Dust Spells, a reimagining of the 12 Dancing Princesses, and my podcast. All the links are in the bio.